Phases of the Moon Knight, issue number 1. That's right, folks. Can you believe that we have entered an era of Moon Knight where this character can get multiple books, miniseries, and everything, and then an anthology book? We're getting an anthology book about Moon Knights, not just Mark, about every other Moon Knight. And I'm like, that is crazy. That's crazy to consider. Like, this character has never been more popular. And I doubt we're ever going to see this popularity again for Moon Knight. Even the concept of the character, I don't think we're ever going to beat what we're at right now. I can't imagine it ever happening, which is both exciting and kind of upsetting. But I'll live with it. You know, we've got some good stuff out of it. We've got some mediocre stuff out of it. None of it has been truly bad, and neither is this first issue. It's very interesting. I have a lot of thoughts on it, especially like this stuff about like the once and future Moon Knight, which is the stuff about the Shroud. The other one is the Crusader Moon Knight, which is like in the Templar era. But it's very weird to start your anthology book with like the character who is currently operating as Moon Knight currently, and like it's very weird. I guess we needed to fill in some backstory for what that was so people are aware. I guess, I don't know. It's Erica Schultz, and I know she did some of the work in like the Black, White, and Red book. She did the story in there. So sure, let's follow up with the Shroud. This opens up, and it's set before the events of Vengeance of the Moon Knight #4, and we're seeing Dr. Sternum talking to Mark, and then there's like a knock on the Midnight Mission. Someone's like coming to the front door, and then Mark's about to like go answer the door, but he's like, someone else will get the door. This is the Shroud. It is just Max Coleridge. And he's like, all right, I cleaned myself up. I finally got everything together. I'm going to go talk to Mark because I feel like him and I have some similarities that no one's really like pulled apart before. And now that I'm clean, he's clean, we can maybe like do stuff together. But before Max decides he's actually going to go talk to Mark, he's like, actually, I don't need to bother Mark with this. I'm okay. I could do this on my own. I don't need him. I'll show him what I can do without helping him. It's that easy for him to make this decision. He's like, I could ask for Mark's help and become like a Moon Knight, or I'll just do it. I guess I'll just do it. So we see Reese and Soldier like go to the door to open it up, but nah, he's gone. Max is on his own thing. And then that happened earlier. We cut to the present, where Max is still Moon Knight and he's beaten up Waxman. So he's fighting a couple of characters that were associated with some old school West Coast Avengers team called the Night Shift. So you got like Waxman, Digger, and Taturdemalion or something. It's stupid characters. And basically, it's just watching Max beat the crap out of these harmless people. He gives us like some backstory to who the Shroud is, if you're wondering, which I'm sure you are. The Avengers of the Moon Knight book did not explain it too well. Basically, it's a very similar origin if you mixed Batman with Moon Knight. He loses his parents. He starts following the cult of Kali. He becomes the Shroud. He works for heroes. He goes down a rabbit hole of being an intense, violent villain guy. And then he's just kind of, a Moon Knight character that's like less than Moon Knight. If there was a less Moon Knight, it'd be the Shroud. That's what he is, which it's very interesting because you didn't really think about this character at all. And turning him into like why Moon Knight shouldn't be like violent and messy anymore is kind of interesting. It's definitely, and could be metatextual, maybe Erica's playing with something here. It definitely feels like there is a cultural interpretation of Moon Knight that is, he's a bloody killer and he's a menace, but Mark hasn't been that for like decades, so we're like making a version of Moon Knight to show you why he shouldn't be that violent killer, menace, destructive being. Because this guy is insane. He's literally burning people. He's dropping them off of buildings where they're broken. They're broken. He's like, I did a good job today. Of course you didn't. You did a terrible job today. You're a menace. You're sitting in a room with a bunch of monitors just listening to people talk about like the rampage you're going on, literally breaking bones and ruining lives. Like what he does to Digger, I think that one's Digger, where he like drops him on top of like a car and he's bloody and bruised. And a guy who's walking by just like happens to see him. He's like, dude, this is terrible. This is scary. Like a superhero did this to you? No, that's insane. It's crazy. Like, this is a crazy interpretation of Moon Knight, and I kind of respect it for being like, yeah, this guy, he doesn't even have Khonshu telling him what to do. He's just like, I could do this. Yeah, I mean, this is what Mark does, isn't it? Just misinterpreting everything that Moon Knight's about. I do like that metatextual story behind it, and it's handled better here than it is with not handling it at all in the Vengeance of the Moon Knight book. So I think it's kind of interesting. A very strong introduction to the phases of the Moon Knight story. I dig it, but there's something really compelling about the Benjamin Percy one as well. So we go to the Crusader Moon Knight. It is England in the 1200s. We meet a man whose name is Cassian. He was a peasant, and there was a crusader coming around asking just people, men of a certain, stature, if they would join in his crusade. And he knights Cassian, and the Cassian's like, well, I don't believe in a god or a king or any of those like religious bullshit stuff, but I don't like the weather we have here, so I guess I'll join your crusade. So we see him, he becomes a merciless killer. He's a knight who is surrounded by blood and destruction. He is a deadly person. Their crusade takes them to North Africa, where a big sandstorm is coming in and attacks like all of the knights around them. He's like lost in the storm. He's trying to like battle through it, and that's when like the glowing image of Khonshu appears before him, and he's like awoken in front of like the temple of the Moon Knight. And I'm like, that's really cool. Makes a lot of sense. Like, we are doing some stuff with history here in the Marvel history where a Moon Knight has been present throughout all of it, and it's fine with me. Like, it could be annoying, but I'm fine with it. Makes sense. It's enough of like a whatever to make it happen. So he emerges in this place. He's looking in the temple. Khonshu is literally like, step into the light, become my avatar. And he does, and he sees like his future through like hieroglyphics of like being knighted, and then like, the Crusades, and literally being knighted again, become the Moon Knight to become his avatar, to fighting a great evil that he's going to slay. And we'll get to who that evil is, because it's actually kind of important to the history of the Marvel Universe. But Cassian sees this, and he's like, no, I'm not a knight because I believe in God or the king I'm fighting for. Why would I give up to this power again? So he refuses it, and then like the temple vanishes around him, and he wakes up in the desert with a silver scarab in his hand. And that's going to come up later. As he's wandering the desert, he sees all of his people are killed. They're like hung up on spears. His crusade is over. The beetle starts to fly out of his pocket and takes him like over a ledge where we see a pyramid being built. And the people building the pyramid are like chanting a name. They are saying the name En-Sabah-Nur. En-Sabah-Nur. It's something they keep repeating. And what is that? Well, we're actually doing it. We are in the Crusade era, and we are in North Africa and Egypt, so we're going to introduce Apocalypse into Moon Knight lore. That's insane, and I am fine with it. So Apocalypse is here. He's building a monument to his ego. Cassian's like, this is bullshit. I hate all of this. He tries to sneak up on En-Sabah-Nur to kill him, but when he breaks like the sword on his back, it shatters. And then En-Sabah-Nur just like slaps him around to kill him. And that's when he's like, all right, Scarab, do your thing. I guess we're doing this. I accept what you want me to be. So the Scarab morphs, and then Cassian becomes the Moon Knight, and he gets into a fight with En-Sabah-Nur, and it leads to him cutting the head off of En-Sabah-Nur. You're like, really? Okay. Their battle lasted through the night. Again, this is some revisionist history, so maybe it went down a different way, right? Who knows? And I guess Apocalypse can come back from being killed by this, but we see that Cassian killed him, and now the people who are worshiping En-Sabah-Nur see like their knight in the sky, and Cassian's like, oh shit, in my attempt to never worship a god or a king, I have become one to these people. And I'm like, that is a great way to end this. Because a Moon Knight shouldn't be happy. I think that's a fundamental part of the character. He shouldn't be happy. There should be, no matter the Moon Knight, this is a job that's going to make you miserable and hate yourself. I think it's really cool that we're doing that. Oh, it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun. This was a really strong issue. I like the artwork on both of them. They feel really of like the eras we're taking place in. Incredibly well written, incredibly articulate. This is what I've wanted from Moon Knight for a long time. And I never thought we'd get it at this level. And now we are, and I think that's cool. I mean, it's amazing. I'm truly blown away, because this is everything we could have done with this character for a long time, but he never had to push. Now we have it. So let's take it while we can get it. You know, we got at least 4 issues of this miniseries, so that's pretty damn cool. So, Phases of the Moon Knight, issue number 1, I am going to give an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.